So namaste everybody, and namaste Pragya and Mridu. Welcome to the UthREXperience conversations that we have every Wednesday with our co-founder and host for the conversation, Nishant Sharma.
Thank you.
So we have today with us Pragya and Mridu, who are two brilliant sisters who stay and reside in Hyderabad and are doing amazing work with all their social ventures as missionary entrepreneurs. So Pragya and Mridu, for the first 45 minutes, you would be in a conversation with Nishant Sharma, and after which I would be joining it and just asking you some thought-provoking questions to generate some insight for our participant and viewers, right? Our conversations now reach out to almost around 25,000 plus people, completely organic reach. So the whole idea is that once we conclude the conversation, we would share it on our pages, and we would also request you to share it on your pages and your links. All right? Are we good? So with that, we hand over. I'm going to become a fly on the wall now and move out of the conversation and hand you over to Nishant Sharma. Over to you, Nishant.
All right. Thank you, Jaisa, for the welcome. And I'd like to welcome you both, Pragya and Mridu. Namaste once again. And welcome to all the viewers and all the audience who's watching us. So it's a first time having conversation with two people at once, Pragya and Mridu, sisters. So let me also just read out, your introduction and bio once for everyone who doesn't know much about you. Pragya and Mridu started creating Marvelous from the Discarded in 2006 and are crafting away till now. It started in the year of 2006 with an idea of reusing their nursery crafts, newspapers, and magazines to create gold out of old. They started on beautifying public parks, traffic islands, colony beaches, etc. Their brainchild, Oorja, was founded in 2010 with a larger vision, spreading awareness about eco-friendly living, substituting single-use plastic, cybersecurity, and net etiquettes for students. Additionally, they perform nukkad nataks and organize as rock bands in order to attract more people to their awareness sessions. So fantastic introduction. Pragya, have I missed out anything else that you want to add in your introduction?
I think that's about it.
Fantastic. So let's get started with it. First, I'm going to ask you about your childhood. That's generally we already know what you're doing now. And of course, we'll come to know about what plans you have in the future. But tell us more about your childhood. How was it growing up? And what kind of dreams did you have initially?
So personally, I wanted to become an astronaut. I wanted to take up science and go to space. It always fascinated me. While Pragya, I didn't really have a goal in life, but as during those years, I was a violinist. I'm still a violinist and a drummer. So I generated interest in extracurricular activities like sports and music. And of course, our parents were very supportive on the way we wanted to pursue things. They didn't force us to be on the conventional methods. They like, tum log ko jo karna hai, you can do it that way.
That's lovely and fantastic. So more about that. So how were you as students? I mean, were you good in studies
honestly, I'm an average student and Mridu is a better student than I am. So we were like always good. Yeah. We never failed. We never got those like 90-95% marks.
Okay. And
academics wasn't really our main interest. Yeah, but we were good at it. Yeah.
Okay. And what are your favorite subjects like?
I like physics, English, and environmental science. And I like sports, music, and those kind of subjects.
Interesting combination. And any particular subject that you guys hated growing up?
Maths.
Maths is a common one. I hated it too. All right. Right. And so Pragya is definitely more sporty, is it? From what I understand? Yeah, both of you.
Yeah. It's not like I don't play sports, but I'm the better ones right here.
Interesting. All right. So tell me more about your education. So which school did you graduate from, or which college are you going to pursue?
So I have just finished my 12th and have got my results. I'm from Villamay Junior College, State Board. I'm going to pursue BBA and she's currently doing sound engineering at Palsa. And I am still doing my 12th at Kinjukit School. Both of us took commerce. She had maths and I dropped maths. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely, fantastic. And when did this particular idea started coming that she wanted to do something with the discarded things, make gold out of old? How did this whole idea come up?
It started very young, to be very
Very
honest.
young.
Yeah, we could have added this to when you asked us about our childhood. So it all started, I think, with our maternal family. We lived with them on the outskirts of the city, mostly village-like area, and we always were taught how to harvest rainwater, how to organic. We had hands-on learning on organic farming. We knew how to reuse old stuff, like suppose there's an old wood, how could we recarve it and use it as a design for a table or something like that. We always knew what to do, how to do, and why are we doing it. So it was all based off what we now call sustainable living, but what our grandparents told us, maternal grandparents told us, Jugaad. So not to waste any resource you have, nothing else left behind.
Lovely. I've had the opportunity of meeting your grandparents too, right?
Yeah.
So who were your role models growing up at that particular stage of life?
Our parents and maternal parents and everyone bits and pieces. No one in particular. Like our Bade Papa, he was very humble and always very knowledgeable. Both our Bade Papas, our fathers, the youngest. So everyone in every different way. Yeah, we have always learned something from each and every person who is a part of our life.
Correct. That's really a good mindset to have. And tell me about you started with beautifying parks, public parks, traffic islands, and colony beaches. Two young girls, now women. I mean, how did you do that? Why did you do that? In fact, kahan se aaya ye idea?
Okay, so I think it's a very vague memory. Ma kept having us. We had pista shells and other things, and I mean pista shells, plastic bottles. We did something with it, and we just so traffic islands near our old home were kind of broken, and even the walls, the bricks, they weren't exactly there. So we just filled up some parts. And next with eco bricks. Eco bricks are basically plastic bottles filled with plastic scrap. So it's very firm and it works like a brick. Yeah, it's completely a duplicate of a brick except for different shape.
Interesting. So I think you've always been active, right? From what age were you when you started that whole, your first initiative?
4 to 5, yeah.
5 years old. Oh, wow. That's interesting. And I think if ever since then, from what I know, you've always been active and doing some initiative or the other. So where is this? I mean, you must have seen all the other students doing something else, playing at this 5 years, 7, 8 years. Mostly children are either watching television or playing in the parks or maybe, playing with Barbie dolls or whatever they do. But
It's like we did and we did not. We knew what to do and what not to do. I think initially it was 80% of all the things everyone else does and 20% of what productive is, maybe if you could call it. So like you'll find traffic islands. Yeah, usually Ma used to tell us कि ये चीज इस समय तक खत्म हो जानी चाहिए. Suppose we get a target, we actually get targets. If you do not do this, you don't get this. So basically, to get that, we have to complete one particular task. So it eventually came up with schedule. We always planned and we did play around. We did play with Barbies. I think we still have a lot of them under our bed now. And so it was everything combined.
Right. So it's not that you have missed out on anything. It's just that you created more time. You planned things in a way that you get to enjoy both.
I wasn't really planned. It just happened. It just happened actually.
All right. But what I was trying to ask was, what did the other children think about you? Did they think that you're doing something different and why are you doing this? or what were the thoughts?
No. Initially, we didn't even realize what was happening. Only recently, when people are like our friends through social media are now acknowledging what we're doing. So Ma was like, so our grandparents initially told us, जो करना है everyone जान लगा के करो और इसलिए मत करो कि लोग अच्छा बोले तुम्हें, इसलिए करो कि तुम्हें अच्छा लगे. And everyone keeps telling us that. So initially our mindset wasn't even like post karo. Bothered if what people thought. We just thought ki it's going good. We will do it. It's going. So once Pragya became the chairperson of JCI, so everything was all about pictures and pictures. You have to record everything. So later on you can be recognized accordingly. Since then, we started getting recognition from our friends. Like they kept saying, "Oh, you're so productive." And that was just last year, I think. Only then did we realize, oh, okay, we're different. People don't do this all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, would you say all your friends and all of the people that were watching what you do, they were very supportive?
Yeah. We would say
Always?
supportive. Everybody is supportive. I think they were neutral. They weren't, I mean, they were like, "Ha, you do good, do it. Pragya, go do it. I think you're doing great." Yeah, we would say neither were they not supportive, neither were they very supportive. They were somewhere in the middle. Yeah. They were never demotivated. Yeah.
Right. But did you personally ever feel, I don't think, I mean, it's a rhetoric question, seems like the answer is going to be no. But did you ever feel like, what are you guys doing? Why are you doing something different? And because most students or most children don't do anything of that sort. None of this sort, actually. Isn't it true?
Yeah, I just like not answer no. We never thought that way. But like I think personally, when I wanted to give up, I was like, this is too much. I don't want to do it. I mean, there's padhai, there's all of this, and there's extracurricular activities. And I want to spend time with my friends. Sometimes I'm just like, I think even Pragya, we both are like, नहीं अभी नहीं करना है, नहीं हो गया, कुछ तो छोड़ेंगे, ये छोड़ेंगे या वो छोड़ेंगे. So Ma was always pushing us. No, this is what you want to do. You can't just give up like this. So हाँ, we fight कि नहीं रहने दो ना, नहीं करना है, क्यों करना है, हाँ क्या मिलेगा करके, then we anyway do it. So हाँ, I think that's about it.
Lovely.
And personally, we couldn't have realized what we did. So Rex Karmaveer was one of our first awards that we got, and we felt really motivated to go further. So yeah, I think there's that.
Come back to that the question, but yeah, so you always were able to manage between your playtime, your work time, if you call it work, more like this is also something you enjoy doing, and your studies, or was it slightly challenging to do everything?
It was.
Days. Must have been days. So how did you go ahead and do that? And for all the people who are watching us, all the young people,
It's
how
all
did you manage?
planning and execution, to be very, very honest.
Right.
You always have to plan, schedule. You can't lag behind because if you do, then something else gets left behind. So I think that's about it.
Lovely. And so 2010, you founded Oorja, right? So what was the story behind that? How did you guys, I mean, obviously all of these chain reaction from your childhood and all of the initiatives you're working on led towards that. But tell us more about what's the story, why Oorja, and how did it happen? You want to...
So it first started with NANHI PARI. NANHI PARI is basically an art and craft organization, and I'm the chief craft person. Yeah. Chief craft person, and she's the co-craft person. From that, we came up with the name of Oorja. Oorja basically means desire or will to do something. Or energy. So youth energy is what we came up with, considering you're soon gonna be about for youth, with youth, and by the youth, basically. And then we came up with the name pOYEm, and we are entrepreneurs of P small, capital O by E, and M small. So that was one more how to wow.
Nice.
So that's how it came. It turned into from NANHI PARI to Oorja to pOYEm.
Interesting. So, whose ideas are these? Are these your partnership that, is it all sometimes like Mridu has come up with this, Pragya has come up with this, or do you always come up with everything together? How do you guys,
So
I'm curious.
Initially, it was our mother, so she saw us doing all the craft, was very enthusiastic about crafting things from, all the leftovers, like pista shells, plastic scraps, and such sharpener, pencil sharpener, waste, everything. Ma knew ki, I don't know, she just kept supporting us, and soon we found our way to this, and somehow both of us got very interested and inclined towards sustainable living. Yeah. Because mainly I think our grandparents, I don't know what would you call that. They literally made our way that way because they gave us a path towards this career of ours. I think that's where it all started when we were told about rainwater harvesting methods in Rajasthan, and there's this place in West Bengal which is very it's a very rainy area. So over there also we learned a lot of farming techniques. Not exactly farming. I just say we saw it happening, and what kind of crops grow in arid region and wet regions. So we saw it happening. We just didn't have bookish learning. So I think that's where it all started. And soon when we got very enthusiastic about environment, we started learning about the UN SDG goals. What are they about? Why do the UNESCO want to follow it? And everything, it just came through the way that we wanted. Yeah, and then I think Ma gave us a lot of ideas as well. It's not just us. So basically, if you see this wall, it's a
I was
glass.
about to ask you, what is this whole thing about?
So this is a glass door, and it was a glass door, and we covered it up with newspaper and magazine clippings and few of our artworks. So basically, both the sides have a particular message. Like the front side has the message of social media and TV is an idiot box. Yeah. And this side is about our artwork and quotes, basically. She believed so she could. Basically, all of these kind of quotes. There's a lot of violent pictures, music pictures, everything is here. So yeah, it's like at least violent too. There's a lot of images for that also. There's a lot of quotes.
Lovely, lovely. Interesting. Right. So definitely a lot of creativity and values, and a lot of it would stem from your mother. So I think I'm just going to directly go ahead and ask you this question. So tell me more about your, of course, family's role, and more of your, especially your mother's role, because she's been, let's say, one of the people who has been active everywhere. And I saw her at the conclave as well. Very proud and very much out there. So tell us more about that.
Okay, so let's start off with our mother. I think if it weren't for her, we wouldn't have gotten this far. We would have left it at so many places, and few things we didn't want to do. But my mom said कि नहीं, अगर तुम ये करोगे तो उधर तक पहुंचोगे. और उसके बाद हम लोग बोले कि हाँ हम लोग ये भी कर सकते हैं. I think she was the cement and we were the bricks. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't have done. We wouldn't have gotten this far. As we would say, our parents are the wind beneath our wings. We always say this, and we will keep on saying it because they have supported us throughout. They've not said कि ये क्या कर रहे, क्यों कर रहे, it's not worth it. They've always been like, yes, you should do it. It's something different, and you do not have to work under somebody. You have your own entrepreneurship firm. You can build it and everything. So they've been very, very supportive. And talking about our family, our paternal side, they were very thoughtful and what would you call insightful, thoughtful, and they had a belief on us कि हाँ ये लोग कर सकते हैं. They always motivated us, and they with some knowledge. Yeah, but in religious context and in personal spiritual context, everything, they were very insightful. And our grandparents on maternal side also. They were, everything had a reason. Whatever we did, what month is going on, that also had a reason. I mean, in our culture, yeah. So why do we grow plants, and what season should we grow a plant, particular plant, is also based on of that. So they have always been insightful, thoughtful, and explaining us the reason behind that particular myth or that particular thing that we follow.
Right. I think you were also very curious to learn more and understand more.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know about you both. I mean, so you both are completing each other's sentences. So I mean, your partnership is pretty amazing. Not only as siblings, but you also work together. But tell me about the challenges. Don't you guys have fights?
Oh, fight a lot.
Come up with the solution.
Sorry?
So how do you manage those conflict? कैसे manage करते हो? How do you guys?
हम तो बहन हैं ना, so we will get together in like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. We'll again hit each other and we'll be like, चलो काम करते हैं. So it's always like that. We always fight. Particular topic is नहीं तुम post करो, नहीं मैं post करूँगी, नहीं तुम edit करो, हाँ मैं post करूँगी. मैंने questions बनाया, तुम answers. So it's always like why should I do the more? Both of us mutually feel that we are doing the whole work, but we don't know what's the.
Right. So you must be fighting over who gets to do the difficult work and who gets to do the
Yes,
easier work.
totally.
Interesting. But tell me, has working together, as siblings and as now partners, does it help build your team building skills? And are you better leaders, better managers than, as non?
I think we've learned a way of diplomacy and manipulating each other to doing work, which can be useful.
I'm sure.
As you said, we're completing each other's sentences. Basically, when I forget word, she's the one completing the. When she does, I do the same. So I don't think it's any. Yeah, but we have setback at least between each other. We've always not even be jealous about somebody going at that particular thing and I'm not going. Like समझाओ ना बात देखेंगे मेरा होगा कि नहीं. हाँ, I think we've always been motivated, but हाँ, we do bring each other. Like we keep fighting. So that's basically a sister. I think you can't. Yeah, you can't deny that fact. Yeah.
Right. So you have sort of skills that complement each other, and you find a way to work together. And you have common. I think most of your interests are common. Most of what you want to do is common. So you have that common mission, common target. Of course, your mother is someone that, and the family unites you both, right? So that's very wonderful to see. Now, of course, tell me more about being girls, or women. Has that affected in what you're doing, or has it been more challenging because of that?
Positive, I guess. Positive challenges. I would say it was a positive challenge because as women and nowadays there's a lot of women empowerment. Let's support girls. Let's support everything. That way we have always come up. And speaking about challenges, spreading awareness is not easy. It's definitely not easy. But considering your topic, I don't think we faced any challenges in particular. Yeah. Being women, I think it's only been better because we've got several opportunities in women entrepreneurship, and we've got recognized because we were girls and because we were women. Yeah. So I think women empowerment in India is really working.
Interesting insight. Glad to know. So what kind of challenges did you have?
Awareness was a big challenge because making people understand about good plastic, bad plastic, reusing plastic, it was very challenging. And asking them, insisting them, let us come, let us demonstrate, let us do something different than what people do. It's difficult to be on the giving and the receiving end because you need to know how to give it right, and it takes a lot to take it right. Because let's say if I say, let's say you're having chips right now, and I say, why are you having chips? It's in a plastic cover. You shouldn't be having it. And you'd be like, how am I supposed to? There's no substitute for that. So right. Initially it was like we didn't have substitutes. कि ये use नहीं करा तो क्या use कर सकते? So that was one of our challenges. We didn't realize what to do. We were like, नहीं plastic मत use करो, but we didn't have a backup for that. Yeah. And then slowly and steadily we realized we can give them answers. If you're using this, use it in this way. You can then give it to recycling. And government has actually given us a lot of support. Because they have their own methods of recycling plastic, and especially in Hyderabad, they have built roads with plastic. So several roads built with plastic and asphalt. And IS Hari Sharma has helped us out a lot doing recycling drives.
Correct. So do you think the Telangana government has done enough, or because I seem to see that you guys praise the kind of work that they're doing, or do you think there's a long way to go still? I still a long way to go, but I expect a lot at once. I think it's a great start because there are several places that people don't even know that what plastic is doing to the environment or what carbon footprint is. But I think government has taken a lot of awareness, and as citizens, we also need to play our part. So
I guess
very well said.
as what they are.
Great. So now I remember the pencils, right? The ones
Yeah.
that have that the biodegradable, and they have seed in them. Very innovative, and of course these are manufactured elsewhere. But where did this idea come across that you want to sort of spread awareness, ensure that people do it, and you have been evangelist. You've been taking it everywhere, asking people to use them. So what is the whole story behind this?
Okay, so from our last topic, plastic awareness and all that, that's how our products came up. Like not our products, like the market students came up with this manufacturing unit, and we got connected with them on Facebook, and we took it forward. So initially, those BTech students, they were like, "Abhi, we don't really have jobs, particularly in engineering field." Soon we just came up with, we saw a lot of newspaper scrap, and we came up with these pencil ideas to reduce the cut down of trees and everything. And we took up that product, we started promoting it, we started marketing it. So they're into manufacturing and we're into marketing. And seed pens, seedless pens, cardboard pens. So
Right.
see,
So how is this works? Yeah.
the
Go ahead.
pens are made of newspaper and the pens are made of cardboard. We have a lot of varieties. We have color pencils, we have newspaper pencils, we have cardboard pens, seeds and seedless, and we also have a book which has covered stuff. Yeah, and the paper is also made of reusable paper, wood, recycled paper and wood pulp. Yeah.
So are people very aware now, and are they very open to this idea? Are they taking it up, or how's the response?
Right now, we are trying to understand what it is and why it's costly. There are many questions like why is it so costly? Don't you think it should reduce prices? We recently got this question. Not recently, I think in January when we put up our one of our first few stalls. One of us was like, what is so new about your product? Please tell me. And we were like, it's made out of recycled paper and newspaper hair, so we don't cut down trees. And he's like, you do cut down trees. Newspaper kahan se aate hain? And he's like, bro, how do you like recycle? People aren't exactly aware of what exactly the product is and the cost of buying it, choosing the raw material for this product. But I think there's a long way to go. We're getting a good response, but I think it could always be better.
I think lots of great learning. I mean, at this young age, you're interacting with real customers, taking real feedback. So that's always a learning. And I'm sure, with time, you'll also improve. So I've also seen that you guys do this OA chit chats and these live sessions. So, and you're doing a lot of them with parents and fathers, especially, and educationalists, right? Mothers. So tell me more about that. How is the OA chit chats going? And what are your insights? Which is your favorite one? Do share.
Our favorites were fathers, basically, because they are need what we call need, the cement to the house, the foundation of the house. And I wouldn't say there's a particular favorite one. This because all of them have been very, very supportive and very enthusiastic. And it's a paid initiative because we wanted to collect revenue for our other events, for the promotion of our other events and buying products from other people, especially women entrepreneurs, and trying to improve what their businesses and not only our products cover a good range of things, but not all. So there's people who has stationary napkins, sanitary napkins, my bad, and pattal ke plates, leaf plates, Palash leaves plate, and a lot of things. We also had Mr. Jayesh Ranjan. He's an IS officer. He's ID and commercial industry. Yeah, so he's the IS officer of that particular region. So he gave us a good parenting tip. He was like, never impose anything on your children. It should just come naturally, and you would never know. See, if I could buy a car for my child, but he wouldn't remember it 30, 40 years later, neither would you. As a parent, I wouldn't remember it. But one thing I do, maybe I made a roti for him. I think that's what he would remember in the 40 years. And there was this Madhuri Vipalansha. Ma'am, she said, she went through breast cancer, and I think the best thing she said that I enjoyed even that particular moment of my life because I knew that I had to live my life and give back something to the society. So she was happy, she was excited, and all the doctors were thrilled. Like, how are a cancer patient? How can you be so happy? Go back to being sad. That's how it should be.
Right. Interesting. Any other insights that you wanted to share from your live sessions?
So now we are
Top
starting.
two,
Sorry.
top two, three insights. You know that like you gave us a good parenting tip that you were saying. Any other top three insights?
So right now we're starting with our chit chat with youth because of course youth is the future and it's always by the youth, for the youth, and with the youth. So we came up with this because there are a lot of people who are struggling, including us. We don't know exactly what they decide as our career. So I think people above 19 to I think 35, maybe or 32 around that age, they know what they have done, and we've met people who have been into engineering and now they're into education because they know not all the engineers know what if they actually want to do engineering or they are just even job ready. So it's always starting with your school life. It's not always based on we did one live session. Sharma, yeah, he told us everything starts in your school life. That's how you're built. And further into it, people need to learn more about it's life skills. About catching your own fish, not being fed by a fish. It is a Japanese story where a teacher say a student comes to a teacher and he says, "I'm very hungry. Could you feed me?" The teacher at that point had two thoughts. One was, I can feed him and he can sleep now. And the second one was, he could fetch his fish today and for the coming years, he will not forever. So basically, that's the second thought is a very insightful thought. And people should actually focus on that than rather being fed directly without doing something. So he said the change in our education. He asked him this question: what do you think could be a change in our education system? And he told us, in the school life, not only the basic studies like conventional studies, conventional subjects should come, but also how to live life, how to manage your money, how to work, how to have a work culture, understand taxes, and especially basic life skills. What you need immediately after you graduate.
Correct. Fantastic. So what apart from all of this, what inspires you? So I mean, I asked you guys earlier as well. Is it a different answer or do you guys have the same answer? What inspires Pragya? What inspires Mridu? I mean, apart from of course what we know, tell us more.
What inspires you? I just think it's the work that we do. The work that we do and our parents, everybody actually, it's the same answer we would say. Yeah. Pretty much. And I think there's always something you can do. There's always ups and there's always down. You just need to understand कैसे बाहर आना है उससे, and that inspires us.
True. Great. What about your low point in life? I mean, I'm sure life is not always rainbows and sunshine. So, right. So you must have some low points as well. Tell us a little story if you have.
Low points. I don't think there's any particular. Yeah, there's not much of low points. I think we've always we always cherish. Yeah, we've always cherished every moment.
That's great. I'm not going to force you to create a story. I mean, if you've always been happy, that's always great, right?
We won't say like it's always like, oh, it's all very happy, but sometimes it's just like under pressure. We have to do this now because it will hit the audience now. It's the need of the hour. That is never a low. It was definitely low point. I think if you say the lowest point we had was when we didn't get the response we really thought we would get. Like initially in the initial stages, we thought, if we do this amount of work, we'll get this much response. But that wasn't the case. We did this much work, we got this much response, and we were like, we could do something more. I think that was one time and felt really demotivated, but everything pushed us, and I think our parents, they were like, this is life. This is life. Not everything comes to you directly on the plate.
Correct. Fantastic. All right. So now tell me more about what you feel about other children of your age, other students, of your age. What do you see, things that they should be doing, or a couple of things that you would want to recommend to those people? Of course, there are issues, there are pressing issues like mental health is one. What are the other issues that you think, our generation or your generation rather is going through, and couple of things that you want to point out?
Drug addiction. I think mental health covers a big part of it. Yeah. But I think what you can do yourself for mental health, I mean, I'm not an expert, but maybe, meditation could help. Or doing, engaging yourself in extracurricular activities. Yeah, and talking about that, because when even we spend a lot of time watching TV and just being on the social wasting our time. Yeah. But I think what other people could do instead of just wasting their time, I mean, just wasting randomly thinking about stuff that don't even exist in their life, they could engage themselves in either cooking or dancing or playing music. A lot of events that we need volunteers and everything, and like we said, awareness sessions and all of that, we thought we would get this much response. Maybe they could come and, work with us. Not only does the profile build up, but they're also engaging into something that's good for the society and themselves. And themselves, of course. So
Right.
they don't have to start like we did, but I think they can be a part of something good and interesting. So that
Right.
also engages them.
Right. Interesting. So on that note, what do you think, if someone wants to pursue, doing the kind of work that you're doing, either if it's raising awareness or teen or, women entrepreneurship or just, studentpreneurs. So how do you recommend they go about it? Where do they begin if they haven't begun at a young age?
I think they can start by figuring out their passion. Like, let's say their passion lies in environment like art,
Yes.
and from there, I think that's where the drive will start. They should basically know a little about what they want to do in that particular field, and if they particularly want to erect plastic, so what are the methods and things that they could do? There are different fields in sustainable development too. So I mean, it depends exactly what they want to do. So let's say if they want to be in our field, then they need to start by I don't know. They need to start by talking to their friends, telling them. It all starts with the. They can start by defining their passion. They can tell everyone that okay, do this, not that. Instead of this, come with me. I know what I'm supposed to do right now. And let's go conduct this plastic cleaning drive. So basically, what we do is we go for nukkad nataks, band performances with a message. He spelled about Nukkad Natak. So Nukkad Natak has 3 topics. One that we chose. One was plastic awareness, one was cyber security, and one was basic mental health. So that way we went to different societies, we contacted them, and that way they can start. They can start by being a part of such organizations who do a lot more work than we do. Yeah, they can know a little about. They'll get experience. Yeah. They can start their own storyline after that.
True. All right. So, how was the lockdown or the COVID world? It's not a great story, right, or situation right now in all over the country and globally in your area as well. How did you deal with the whole, of course, uncertain times and lots of things happening? How did you cope up with the COVID-19 situation?
Initially, it was pretty decent and nice. Yeah, we really liked the COVID-19 period. We love staying at home. Yeah, we do love staying at home. We don't go. Yeah. She cooks really amazing, and especially if you have her desserts, you will love it. I'm not even kidding. So sometimes I also tend to help her in kitchen. So apart from cooking, what we did for our COVID-19 period was we started composting. So initially it was summer, so we had a lot of kitchen scraps, all the food waste, all the green veggies. Actually, we dried it up in our balcony, and we crushed it, and we in our garden we just used it as compost. We created a lot of videos for that, and you know how we have lemon leftovers after you squeeze it, it's still left, and it's got acid, it's got citrus acid, which you can use to clean the utensils. So you're using up as much of the resources you can. We created couple videos for that. Yeah, it's on YouTube. And after that, my mom's like, "Oh, you can't stop now." So then she gave us the idea to. So basically, we can say our mother is the creative producer of what we do.
Right. All right. So, what message would you like to give out to other parents? Parents of children your age or the youth.
Don't just say ki. I think it's what Jayesh sir told. Yeah. Don't impose anything on your children because we have several friends who are doing who are doing science or who are doing commerce or who are doing arts just because their parents are doing or just because their parents have asked them to do it. ये बोल के कि और किसी चीज का future नहीं है. So I think it's always it's the parents should never force or tell कि तुम देखो Pragya में you are doing such good work, why don't you do it? That shouldn't happen. That creates a lot of even we are told कि वो लोग दोनों अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, तुम लोग कुछ भी नहीं कर रहे हो. So there's that. I think it's also this shouldn't be comparison because I think it really brings down children. Or अगर let's say I want to get into sports and sports. Let's say later on in life, despite all my efforts, I don't happen to achieve what I should have, what I could have. Then I think, like all the big entities in our world, I think there's always somewhere you can find out something or the other where your passion lies. So I think it's never too late. Yeah, streamlining your child's life in one particular thing. What if he's interested into photography or like idiots? Yeah, like idiots.
Interesting. All right. And what about a message for the youth, future young champions of change, or the youth generation? What is the message you want to give out to them?
I think we should just start doing more. I think it's going to be enough because I think it's just their own perspective that should bring a change. Everybody has one particular perspective and they should actually work towards it and promote it. Anything, especially youth of now is very, very smart and productive. They just don't utilize it because we have our social media and phone. And very productive. I would definitely say the youth should gather around, not just to create a sort of like what's that word? I don't know. What it's just not to be sitting around or just blame somebody else for the work that you can also do. Also, one thing Pragya particularly hates about a lot of us is how we don't. I mean, I've done it personally too. How people, okay, I see something offensive and bad on social media, and I post it on my story. And looking at me, regardless of the credibility of the source, everyone starts posting it, and a lot of hate. Worst thing that happens, and I personally hate it. And if you do not know a topic, you are not supposed to speak on that. And a few days later, they say this news is fake. So it's just, I think it's very stupid. So I think you should know what you're doing, and you should be more self-aware.
Right. So I think you've addressed a couple of points there: fake news and copying and just herd mentality, right? Still prevalent since all these years. All right. So, Pragya and Mridu, what do you, before Jaisa comes in, one or two more questions I can probably squeeze in. What do you think about our mission at Rex Ideas? And tell me more about that. And tell me more about your experience as a youth fellow and what has the impact been?
Okay, first things first. When we first came, we saw this huge crowd area with a lot of people. We didn't expect. We're like, oh, there's so many other people also who are gonna get awarded just like us. And it was very fascinating and very intimidating also. But Jerry sir, when he spoke to him, he really comforted. I think we were very comfortable around him. We didn't feel like we were out of the place. And especially when he gave his monologue or speech, I don't know what would you call it. It was very enlightening. And after a while, when he gave the mic to the two of us, we just went on and on and on. That was the time when we like, Acha, the platform, I think it was very, very comfortable and very friendly. We actually got a lot of orders after that too. And it was very happy. And I would say it was the best, it was one of the most amazing exposures for everything for us. And also
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I interrupted you.
No, I was just saying, how has the impact been? You could also include that in your answer. How has the impact? It's been almost a year now. So how did it impact you personally, apart from that day?
So I think it's very motivating for us. People from different states have been contacting us and through GYLF because initially we didn't know what we could do. Like we had a lot of idea to what people in GYLF were thinking about and why were they thinking so. And exposure we got among so many different thoughts. We had several people who connected to us, not only to order from us, but to know more about us. And we reciprocated the same. We were very curious about what the other people are doing as well. And other than that, it was very motivating. And I don't know, I just keep looking forward to more sessions with you.
Right, right. All right. So, any final words you want to tell, the viewers and the people that are watching us before, and we can also have Jay sir now. Any last?
There's always more we can do as youth, and not just criticize people for no reason at all. There's more positive stuff in the world than negative.
Fantastic.
What we say is, there's that quote where people say, where this person says, कि okay, I काम करोगे तो आगे बढ़ोगे and अगर आप बिना काम किए कुछ सोचोगे तो it would never fulfill.
Interesting, interesting. Although saying be positive, be positive in today's world is also weird. People should be
not completely positive, but don't be completely negative either.
I was just trying to joke with you guys. COVID positive.
Yes.
Anyway, let's have Jerry sir now. He's going to ask you these insightful questions and provoke a thought.
Right.
Right. So namaste again, Mridu and Pragya. Namaste, namaste. So great listening to you sir, in your conversation with Nishant. And I remember meeting with you all off stage very vividly with you and your and your mother. Tell me, do you have any siblings besides the two of you? Any brothers or anything? No? Okay, great. So I can see that some very good values have been given to you by your parents, and I really appreciate them for that, about serving society and everything. Now let us discuss some, harder issues, right? Because life is not a bed of roses. In the journey, there will also be a lot of thorns, right? And while one would like to stay positive, just thinking positive without preparing for the negative is also not possible, right? And unfortunately, a lot of grown-ups also, because I do a lot of work with people in the corporate things like goal setting, action planning, etc. And then finally, when I tell them, okay, now let's plan for all those things that would go wrong, they start telling me, why do you talk negative, Jerry? Why are we talking negative? And I'm like, I think this not talking negative, being positive is the most negative business in the world. Because if you're not ready for things which will go wrong in your life, how will you tackle them? How will you manage them? How will you kind of respond to them? Right? A positive frame of mind, that's important, but things will go wrong, right? And let's talk about the societal wrongs that you see. You stay in Hyderabad, which is now, I think, a part of Telangana, which was earlier one state called Andhra. And Andhra is a state where there are a lot of, it's across India, but Andhra is one of the states which ranks high when it comes to crimes against women.
Yeah.
Any insights on that?
Insights, I don't. Insights as in like what as kind of you've experienced it or you've seen
No,
it
no,
from-
no, no. I'm asking you, what are your thoughts on that? What are the crimes against women that you think are prevalent in India and in your society, in the place where you stay, in the state where you stay?
Okay, so first off, I would like to say, when we lived in Andhra Pradesh, we were pretty young to even know such things existed. But currently now, if we talk about it, I think what are prevalent is domestic violence, of course, which has risen during the lockdown. and there's rape, of course, there's acid attacks. There's a lot of things, and it's not particularly one person's fault. I mean, you can't just blame one person. In this particular scenario, like women are being harassed badly. We do not actually know what to speak on this particular topic, to be very honest.
Okay.
It can get
So,
pretty controversial.
so in India overall, I'm sure you're aware of this because you are now, young leaders. And, when I sent out a post about you all today, I said, let's celebrate girl power at 6 p.m. today, right? And let's celebrate girl power, not because, women need knights in shining armor, right?
Yeah.
But women have their own swords now, and they are their own knights in shining armor. And I think they're looking for men who don't need to protect them, but who can sharpen their swords so that they can protect themselves, right? And at the same time, in our world, in our country especially, you still have crimes like female feticide and female infanticide. Now I'm talking about deeper crimes over here, not just what you hear as mainstream crimes which newspapers report about, harassment and things like that. But there are deeper crimes over here, which is a collective mindset of society. I'm sure you heard of female feticide.
Yeah, yeah.
It's also very prevalent in Andhra and Telangana, right? So, what do you think about that? How does one address this collective mindset? On one side, you have progressive parents like yours who want to educate their girls, encourage them with the right values so that they can have their own standing. And on the other side, you have an entire mass, an entire community, an entire society which is killing the girl child before she is even born. While this is a country where we actually worship and celebrate goddesses only around festival time. So how does that work? What do you think about this?
So I heard a story of Uttarakhand. I read it actually. So a lady had a girl child, and
Right.
she didn't want to like no, she wanted to give birth to the child. But
Right.
living in Uttarakhand, you know how the situation is there. But
Right.
she still gave her the kind of education, the life that she could live as a girl. But later on, it's always very insecure as a parent
Right.
because girls aren't safe, because guys cannot control. A lot of times, guys learn that boys. It's not. I don't think it's even about that. I think from where this rises is initially we were considering all our scriptures and all the sculptures we've come across in the Hampi and in so many other places all over India. Women, I mean, I don't know if it's probably, but a lot of scriptures were in the nude for women. So I don't think it's about keeping the women enclosed in a place or not hiding their body or not to have them at all. I think it's all started when Indians were invaded. Yeah. Because then there was a lot of crime rate. Because from what I heard, from what my parents have told me, it all started when we were invaded by Mughals, and I don't want to be offensive to any religion, but this is what happened when women were abducted from home, being young, very young, like younger than us. They were abducted just to be used as a sexual prey. Yeah. That's all. So I think that's when it started कि नहीं लड़की हो ही नहीं अच्छा है. And Sati also began because of these invaders. Like because there's no one to protect you, I think it's just better you die. Because if you can't, you can't protect yourself. If you can't protect yourself, you'd rather not live through all that agony. So I think इसीलिए it all started कि नहीं हो बच्ची कोई अच्छा. And then I guess the culture reduced to what we now call is दहेज देना पड़ेगा. पढ़ाना ही क्यों है बच्ची को जब उसको भेजना ही है. ये सब बेमतलब के खर्चे हम लोग को नहीं उठाने, इसलिए बच्ची नहीं हो तो अच्छा है. Right. That came up after a certain point, after people started infecting the cultural values, the cultural thought, and why these thoughts had come in. It's a lot more than what we see. I think that's what it is.
Right. And the point I picked up from what you said about what you probably learned from history and from movies and from hearsay of parents and family members is that after the Mughals came, the women became unsafe. And yet, if you see our scriptures or the religion, right, whether it's Hinduism or any other religion, I come from a Hindu background. I was born in a place called Goa. So if I go back into my family ancestry and tree, I'm actually a Sardesai, right, which is so-called, you know, whatever they call it in Goa, upper caste or nonsense like that. And we never had to face the Mughal invasion because we were invaded much earlier than the British came in by the Portuguese. And the Portuguese culture is very, very healthy. And yet you see that female feticide happening in Goa also. Now, even the Goans would like to blame the Mughals because it's very easy to pass on the blame to the Mughals. But the point is, you even see Sita being the consort of Rama.
So I would say something on this.
Right. So even our culture has not been very, very equal when it comes to the woman. It's called equal opportunity, right? Because Sita had to give the Agni Pariksha, right? If you see any goddess, she's always called the consort. It is not that she has a standing in her own right. So how then do we blame the Mughal culture? Because this was very much a part of our culture also, where we were still patriarchal. You understand patriarchal, right? Now in India they say Kerala is a matriarchal society, but it's only when it comes to land and property, because otherwise it is still a male dominated society, right? So which means it runs more deeper than the Mughals. So like while we would like to blame the Mughals, that's absolutely bizarre and wrong. It's a misplaced concept, because this is very much a part of our DNA.
So I would like to say something regarding the Sita thing.
Right.
So there's a misconception that Sita had to give Agni Pariksha. She had to give Agni Pariksha, but then that was because Sita was a goddess, and nobody could touch a goddess if she didn't will to. So basically, in Ramayana, there was one part where Sita's duplicate was made to hide Sita in real.
Right.
So I think what she's trying to say is, I mean, it's a mythology. You can't totally believe in it, but then it said that Sita was duplicated so that her clone was reformed when she was married to Ram. But either way, regardless of that concept and that theory, I think equality never really what I'm trying to say is when women majorly started getting abducted during that time. I think that's where it all started. But to coming to your point when you said there was no equality, it was always a patriarchal society.
No, and I would argue on that it was not that women were just getting abducted after the Mughals came in, because that was very much a part of the Rajputana regime also. If you see the current, I'll just give an example. When Padmavati the movie was released, all the Rajput men went berserk, right? Whatever it was called, Ranveer Sena or whatever, and they went berserk saying that how can you talk? But you talking about, look at the hypocrisy now. On one side you're saying that how can you talk like this about a woman, a Padmavati who was like a mythological character, and that there's no historical proof that she existed. On the other side, you don't allow your children to go and get their education, the girl children I'm talking about, right? Rajasthan has the highest incidence of female feticide, and the Mughals went away long ago. So why are we still blaming them?
I don't think we're exactly blaming them, but I'm not saying that Mughals were the only wrong in our society. I think we've let it happen.
Right.
We've let it happen.
So there is a mindset which needs to change, because whenever in our country we point out something which is wrong, they'll say Pakistan ko dekho, humse gaya guzra hai. Now that's bad benchmarking, or we want to push it onto the Mughals and say because of them our culture is so regressive. But hey, the Mughals went long back. The British went away 75 years ago. The Portuguese went away 70 years ago or 60 years ago. So it's time to change. We're not such a young nation anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So why is it that we allowed the Mughals to influence us when we worship the goddess on one side, and then we are killing the girl child on the other side?
I think a part of it also lies in having our culture and our background heavily affected, but also the difference between to be educated and to be literate. We spoke about this in our previous session that you can know English as well as you want to, or you can know any language as well as you want to.
Right.
But if you don't know how to work it into your how to work into your educational values.
See, I would just like to share an insight here, because you are young leaders and you all are going to go out there in the future. And I think we have to, I always say we need to get rid of some of the blind beliefs and the concepts which are thrust upon us because of syncretic traditions or religious beliefs, because that could be dangerous going forward, right? And we are a young nation still, no doubt. And I think more than being a young nation, we have a nation which is which has a majority of young leaders, because most of 55% of our population is below the age of 25.
Right.
And if people who are below the age of 25 are going to carry that same concept into the future, that is because of the Mughal invasion or nonsense like that, then I think we need to have a hard look at ourselves. And this is an insight I would like to share, because with all due respect to every religion, somewhere or the other, every religion always glorifies the man.
Right.
And then you have the current, it's Christianity is the same, right? I mean, you have Jesus up there and you have Mother Mary, but she's a secondary figure, right?
Yeah.
And we always somehow kind of celebrate the boy child, right?
Yeah.
You'll see this in progressive Goan households also, and nothing to do with the Mughals in Goa, right? Where the boy child is celebrated and given better education than the girl child. It's happening even today.
Yeah.
Right? The church itself is patriarchal, right? I don't believe in any religion. I don't believe in any God, not even in the religion that I was born in. So I can speak against the church. And then you have religious factions, like whatever is promoted by this new age godmen and gurus and sad gurus, whatever they are called, right?
Yeah.
And if you see, some of their concepts are so regressive towards women, right? That, for example, the Sadhguru said, the people call him Sadhguru, I call him Sadhguru. He said that the woman should not go to this particular temple because the sanctum sanctorum of the temple is so strong that the woman won't be able to withstand that power. Murkoap. That's foolish. It is the woman who gives birth to a man, not the man who gives birth to a woman. So if the woman can go through that entire pain of birth giving, then what is the power of a sanctum sanctorum and a stone? You have the founder of ISKCON who made some very regressive comments on women. Now, the devotees nowadays twist and turn it all over. But the point is, no Mughal influenced you to make those comments on women.
Right.
So I think we need to be very careful about what we are listening to, what we are hearing, because these syncretic traditions, blind beliefs could actually twist our mindsets even more, right?
That's true. And when I agree with all that you said, and that the past really defines what we are, like personally and as a society, I think where we think culture and religion is the same thing is where we all go wrong. And personally,
and that's why I use the word syncretic tradition. Syncretic basically means it's like synthetic, right? It's artificial. They need not be our traditions, right? It's like crackers, firecrackers. Did Lord Ram have firecrackers? That we are celebrating Diwali with firecrackers? And yet children are told in school, in school they are told not to use firecrackers, but at home the parents are telling them firecrackers nahi jalayenge to riwaj ka bhrasht ho jayega. Kaun sa riwaj, bhai?
I think it's very affected from what our parents tell us, what our mom has told us. She's told, दिवाली इसलिए मनाते हैं क्योंकि पहली बार तो राम 14 साल बाद वापस अपने घर आते, इसलिए पूरा जगह को लाइट अप करते हैं, and like gradually, and it just increased into firecrackers because it was more grand, and also because ये कार्तिके मास होता है, and in our culture we believe कार्तिके मास में मच्छर बहुत होते हैं, तो इसलिए वो धुआं से मच्छर निकल जाते हैं. But also, again, as you said, how we've been twisted, how we've got twisted mindset.
That's what I'm saying, because the spirit. See, I was teaching the Quran. I was teaching Quran teachers how to teach, right? And the Quran teachers were teaching the Quran by rote learning. You understand rote studying?
Yeah.
Like how you mug your history or geography. And like I had said in the youth conclave, that most of the people don't know their constitutional rights and duties because you mug civics. You don't learn it. Yes or no? Right? So similarly, this guys were teaching Quran, and I said, what are you doing? If they don't understand the spirit and the ethos, the philosophy of what they are learning, then they can be twisted by people, right? So the whole concept of Diwali was that light your inner fire to go out and light the world. You don't need to light lamps, even light a lamp, but you don't need to fire crackers here, right?
Yeah, not in a way that we are right now. What we're doing is कि जितना ज़्यादा करेंगे उतना ज़्यादा अच्छा होगा without realizing the environmental impact on it. So if you burn like दो चक्रा two लाडी, just for the sake of any satisfaction के लिए कि हाँ हमने भी जलाई है, and I think it's what 4 to 5 years
No,
since
no,
we haven't.
I was not talking about lamps. I was talking specifically about firecrackers, as in fatakade, right?
That's what she's saying.
Yeah.
See, our खाली दो या तीन चलाओ, that is more than enough. Don't do people who are excessive. They like the
Right.
bigger the bigger
Right.
my social
Right.
respect is and social value is.
No, but still, I would raise this, right? I don't think there were firecrackers in the time when Ram was there, if he was there historically,
I
right?
burned firecrackers when he came. Okay, regardless of what was and what wasn't, I mean, we don't know for sure. What I'd like to say is, even if it wasn't, if it wasn't, then it gradually got into having firecrackers, and like my
Right.
sister.
It's like I laugh at the entire imagery of Jesus Christ, right? White man with blue eyes and blonde hair when he was born in the Middle East. It's a joke, right? And the only black man in the Last Supper is Judas, the guy who betrayed him. So we as humans have created the stereotypes, right? You will see it in movies, you will see it in comic books, that the Brahmin is always shown white while the Dalit is always shown black.
Yeah, that's
Now,
a lot of that. That's
now these are stereotypes which have been created over the years, whether it's the holy books or the scriptures. So what I'm trying to say is keep an open mind to that and be open to understanding symbolism and what the real culture is at large, because the entire culture was that
don't
the entire
book by its cover. Basically, we could say for this conversation of ours.
absolutely
I think
right.
a lot of
So
times.
sorry.
I think we a lot of times initially also we were like, what is this Hindu Muslim Chamela, Hindu Christian Chamela to our parents, and they. I think it's all about parenting also, because if we didn't know all about this about our culture, we wouldn't have been talking to you about it. It would just be a one-sided conversation. Yeah. So I think we know the difference between religion and culture. And that we know why
Mridu and Pragya, I'll explain the psychological process to you, right? What happens with every human being is that certain beliefs get passed on to us by our parents, by ancestors, because those are passed on to them from generation to generation. So we are a collective process of our nature, which is our genetic makeup, right? And then our nurture, the upbringing, the experiences, not just our own experiences, but other experiences which are thrust onto us, right? For example, I was told Christianity is the best religion, right?
Yeah.
And that there is no other religion as good as Christianity. And at the age of 13 or 14, I started asking my mom, by saying Christianity is the best religion, you're making me put all the other religions down. So you are conditioning me. Don't do that to me, right? Or I was told that I'm so-called upper caste. And I was like, what makes us upper caste? Right?
Yeah.
Just that you had a lot of land and you were landlords. So I think we need to break this type of stereotypes. That's one. Secondly, I would like to ask you some insights now on, so the psychological process is that we are products of nature and nurture, but we have the third most powerful element, which helps us to break the bonds, the limitations, the blind beliefs of this nature and nurture. And that is the choice, our free will to understand what is right, what is not right, and then practice what is right. Now, the other thing I want to ask you is, I hope that after you come back from your higher studies, because I did hear you say that you're planning to go for your higher studies now when you're conversing with Nishant. Do you plan to pursue your journey as entrepreneurs?
Yes, we're looking forward to it.
You're looking forward to it. What do you see in the entrepreneur space again now? right? Whether it's the entrepreneur space or the corporate space. Do you see as many women leaders as the number of men leaders, whether it is India or even in the US, or what
No.
do you see? Right. So how
Things are progressing, but also it's not enough. Yeah, I think.
is there a balance as yet, considering that we are in the so-called 21st century when we are progressing to Mars and talking about building colonies on Mars?
No. I think there's a lot of time for this. I think I won't say for sure, we might face some problem like तुम औरत हो अपनी औकात में रहो.
Right.
Maybe something like that.
So,
But to
so,
be
so
honest,
you surely see that in India, and then you see it in the US and the UK, right? The entire Me Too movement started from Hollywood and the US. Yes or no? And you saw the crimes
yes.
against women over there. Now, let's say instead of Pragya and Mridu, I'm going to wind up with this, right? Instead of Pragya and Mridu, let's say I had Anne and Meredith, who
Okay.
are American citizens,
Mhm.
people of American origin, and they are both sisters, and they have been brought up in whatever faith in the US, whether it was
Christianity.
Christianity or being a Protestant or whatever. And I'm asking them this question that, hey, do you think they would be able to say that, oh, US is like this because of the Mughal invasion?
Pardon what?
Would you be able to, would they be able to say that the US is like this because of the Mughal invasion?
No.
Have I made my point?
Yes, you have, but I think what I'd like to say is past defines us. I'm not saying Mughals are, maybe I think I have expressed myself very clearly. Yeah. And what I really wanted to say is Mughals have been a part. I mean, I really don't have anything against the religion. I think it's just the people, not
So if you look at the history of the United States of America, right? They were called the Americas once upon a time, right? And they had Native Americans, right? Some dude called Columbus, who was headed for India, lost his way and landed in the US. And then he claimed that he discovered the US, right? Till today, the Native Americans, who we call Red Indians, are trying to figure out why did he discover us, right? Now, if you look at the Native American culture, in the Native American culture, they respected women equally. Women were equal, right? The Native American scripts will show you that. Now, who came there? The whites came there. Christianity came there. So I think this is a bigger, because 1 hour is not enough to debate this. But I'm just giving an insight to understand that we need to keep an open mind that most communities, most societies have been patriarchal societies. The only place in India where I always say that you will see equality, where the woman probably has equal standing or maybe even more, is in the Northeast.
Yeah.
You'll see that very clearly and stark over there. And they can also tell you that the Mughal invasion was also happening to them, and yet they have equal standing. You won't see you won't see you
It's
won't
all
see
about how you take in information and how you transfer that information
Absolutely.
without manipulating it. And I just like to clear my point, sir. I didn't mean
No.
only
I'm not talking about what you said at all. I'm just clarifying. My job is to clarify. My job is to throw some light and let the insight grow onto you, right?
Yeah.
But please go ahead and say what you had to say.
Yeah, what I meant is they affected us, but we let that happen further into our culture,
Right. I think I completely get what you're saying, but I think one of the things which we need to change as the people is that we need to change this narrative, because this narrative that the Mughals did this to us is actually creating a lot of discrimination against a particular community, and I think we need to change that narrative.
I think while that's true, I think we can also shed light on being invading isn't exactly moral also. So I think
Sorry?
I mean, I don't think there's enough time for me to even explain it to you what I feel. But well, I really can't explain it in words right now. So I think we'll leave it for next time.
Surely, surely. Well, I was just trying to draw some insight for you, because if you're
Yeah,
saying,
I think it's very helpful also.
yeah, because invasions were a part of life at that time. It is not like Indian kings did not invade. We also invaded, right? Shivaji invaded, right? Maharana Pratap invaded. Tipu Sultan invaded. So the invasion was like a way of life. But I don't think you can attribute it to any one community, because
yeah, definitely.
because
About
it
one particular
yeah,
person who has spread the hate in
absolutely.
particular.
I think at the end of the day, it is what Darwin said, which again has been misconstrued. He said survival of the fittest. And
Yes.
what he meant is that not that you usurp power, and it was that stay fit so that you can survive in the ecosystem, not that
Yeah.
you usurp power and show your strength to muscle people away. But
They
then
actually use their brain to the maximum to manipulate the particular thought. And yeah, I think even considering like I discriminated against singles, so I can also discriminate against what we did wrong. We didn't unite against what happened to us. Yeah, I didn't stand strong with our cultural values. So not only like that. Fitness, I think we should care about this also.
Absolutely. My basic job on this particular panel is always to come and provoke some thought. It's not about the two of you. It's not about Nishant. It's about trying to influence some insights with the larger audience which is watching the program, right?
Right,
I
exactly.
think we need to have a equal, balanced, fair, win-win society where everybody has equal rights, equal responsibilities, and
And
nobody. Sorry,
equal kind of thoughts.
equal.
Thoughts.
Absolutely, the mindset has to be right, where we treat people fairly and have a win-win mindset. So that was the
Exactly.
basic insight. Thank you. Pleasure conversing with you. If any of you have some closing insights for us, please share them before Nishant closes for the evening.
Actually, we would love to discuss on this topic with you once again. Yeah, I think it'd be great if we could take you on with us sometime soon whenever you're free.
Right.
Or with us online and on this particular topic.
I would be happy to come on to any of your events and discuss this live.
Oh, this will be amazing.
Yeah. The entire concept being let's treat humans as humans.
Yes.
That's about it. Yeah.
No one's more, no one's less.
Yes. Any other insights that you have before Nishant closes?
No, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Having a conversation with you and Nishant, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for giving us this platform for speaking.
No, pleasure having you. You both are doing great work. We are always full of praise for all your work. My love and respect to your parents. I met your mother. My love to your father also for being you for letting you be who you are and to become who you want to be. I think that's a very important message for parents, that don't impose your thoughts, your beliefs, your mindset, your limitations onto your children. Let them be who they can become and let them unleash their own potential. So thank you so much. You are a great inspiration for all other young girls and boys. Thank you.
Thought-provoking session with us. I think it was very helpful.
Always. The idea is to
research on this a little more and then start a fresh debate with you on it. So that it gets more exciting and interesting.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
We would definitely like to study a little more about what you have told us and then debate or then talk and then perspective.
No. I was not even debating with you. I was just flagging some thoughts. That's why I took you from India to the United States, right? Because Trump would also like everybody to believe that, because these people invaded us, we are like this, right? But the fact of the matter is, you are not like this because they invaded you. You are like that because you are like that, right? Yeah. So that's about it. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Pragya and Mridu, for joining us and sharing your insights and conversation. Lots of learning, and more power to you both. And keep doing more, keep contributing more, and keep inspiring more people. And thank you, Jerry sir, for
thank you, Nishant, and we hope to see you in our future fellowships going from blue on to bronze. And by the way, Nishant, we should have them as the faculty and mentors and residents for the Rex Karmaveer Global Youth Fellowship that we are creating as a digital program, right? So you can talk about your journey as I would be talking purely about your journey as entrepreneurs in that particular session. Okay, we will do that. That will be shot without any audience. It is just purely for the learning process. Okay. All right. Great. Pleasure having you with us. Good night. Have a great evening. And my love and respect to your parents. Yeah.
Stay
Thank
safe.
you.
Thank you so
Take care.
much.
Stay
Bye.
safe. Bye bye. Thank you. Namaste.
Bye. Namaste.
Namaste. Bye bye.